Do the code a little bit. Anything inside this symbol and this symbol is just text. So this is stuff for us to read, but the computer doesn't pay attention to it. This just explains a little bit about what's going on with the program. Then there's a spot where this little section is run at the beginning when you first turn on the Arduino, and it sets things up. When that's done running, that only runs once. When that's done running, it moves on to this little section, and this it repeats forever. So it just does all these instructions one after the other, goes back to the beginning and does it again. So let's look at the setup. The first line is pin mode. Now this is setting up a pin, which there are lots of pins that this one I plugged into the LED. It set it as an output, meaning it's going to send data to that pin. So you use an output when you plug in LEDs or speakers or other things like that have you sending data out. The other alternative would be to make this an input. Sometimes you want to have a button, and that's going into the Arduino, so that means you could plug it into a pin that you set to be an input. This right here, the LED built in, is just a user-friendly way of saying pin 13. So then what it does when it sets that pin 13 to be output, it starts looping through here. The first thing it does is it actually writes. That means it writes a high, which means it writes a 5 volts to that pin. And we've seen before when we have power onto an LED, the LED lights up. So this turns on the LED. After this, I'm going to stop for a second and I'm going to have you figure out the rest of it. The first task, you're going to figure out if you could make this thing flash faster. So see if you can figure out how the rest of the program works.